Mishnayos Rosh Hashana Perek Aleph, Mishna Aleph. In this Mishnah, we're going to learn about 4 days of the year. The first of Nisan, the first of Elul, the first of Tishrei, and the first of Shevat, according to Beis Shammai, or the 15th of Shevat, according to Beis Hillel. These days are called Rosh Hashana, the head of the year, for different things. Each thing that we will learn about has a beginning, and that day, the beginning of that thing, is called a Rosh Hashana, the head of the year for that thing. Says the Mishnah, Arba'a Rosh Hashanim Heim. There are 4 days that are considered to be the head of the year. Be'echad b'Nisan, the first day of Nisan. Rosh Hashana is the head of the year, Lamalachim, for the kings, V'leragalim, and for the Yamim Tovim. This means that a king's year starts on the first of Nisan. When the first of Nisan comes, that is when his new year begins. And therefore, if he's been a king for 3 years, and it comes now the first of Nisan, it now begins his 4th year. If it's his first year, he's been a king for 1 year, and then comes the first of Nisan, that becomes his 2nd year. And it's also Rosh Hashana for Yom Tovim, which this means that the Yom Tovim start from Pesach, because since Nisan is the beginning, so the first Yom Tov of this year is going to be Pesach. Be'echad be'Elul, on the first day of Elul, Rosh Hashana, it is the beginning of the year, L'maaseh behema, for giving maaseh of animals. Every 10th animal has to be given as a carbon, and that's called maaseh behema. And the day that begins maaseh behema is the first of Elul, which means that all animals that are born before the first of Elul belong to the previous year, and all animals that are born after the first of Elul belong to the new year. And this is very important because you cannot give the carbon from 1 year's animals to another year's animals, which means if Tavshin Ayin Beis, a person has 10 animals that were born, he has to give one of those animals as a carbon. He cannot give an animal that is going to be born in Tavshin Ayin Gimel for animals that were born in Tavshin Ayin Beis. This is according to the Tanakama, that it is the first of Elul. But Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Oimrim, but Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon say, Be'echad b'Tishrei, they say that the Rosh Hashana for Maaseh Behema is on the first day of Tishrei. Now we come to the first day of Tishrei, which we know as our Rosh Hashana. And our Mishnah is going to tell us it's actually Rosh Hashana for 5 things. Be'echad b'Tishrei, on the first day of Tishrei. Rosh Hashana, it is the Rosh Hashana Lashonim for years, which means that the new year begins on Rosh Hashana. This is important to know because this is when Hashem judges us, as we will learn in the next Mishnah. Hashem judges us for what has happened throughout the past year and will decide what our new year will have in store for us. It's also Rosh Hashana V'lashmitin, for the Shemitah. Every 7th year there is Shemitah, and there are many halachas that are involved with Shemitah, and that begins and ends on Rosh Hashana. Vala Yovlos, and for Yovel, every 50th year is Yovel. Again, there are many halachas, and that begins and ends Rosh Hashana. Lanatia, for planting. This is important for the trees that are planted. There is a Isur to eat trees that are planted, to eat fruits from trees that are planted for the first 3 years. It's called Erla. And in the 4th year, it's called Neta Revoi, which those fruits have to be taken to Yerushalayim. So to decide how many years the tree has been growing, it starts and ends on Rosh Hashana. When it comes to Rosh Hashana, it's the second year. When it comes to the Rosh Hashana, it's the third year, and so on. V'layirakos, and for vegetables that are picked before Rosh Hashana are considered to be from the previous year, and vegetables and produce that is picked, harvested after Rosh Hashana is considered to be for the new year. And this is important to know for Maisa and Truma. In order to give Truma and Maisa from the proper produce, it has to be from that year's produce. You cannot give Maisa from one year's produce for another year's produce. We come now to the final Rosh Hashana of our Perek, Be'echad Bishvat, on the first day of Shvat, Rosh Hashana La'ilan. It is considered to be the new year for the trees. Kedivrei Beis Shammai, like the opinion of Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel say, B'chamisha Asa Boy, that the Rosh Hashana is on the 15th day of Shvat. What does it mean, Rosh Hashana La'ilan? Rosh Hashana La'ilan means that the trees, the Truma and Maisa for the trees, it depends on when the blossoms. If the tree blossoms before, according to Beis Shammai, before the 1st of Shvat, it belongs to the previous year. If it blossoms after the 1st of Shvat, it belongs to the next year. According to Beis Hillel, if it blossoms before the 15th of Shvat, it belongs to the previous year. And if it blossoms after Chamisha Asar of Shvat, then it belongs to the next year. And you have to give the Trumas and Mises of those fruits from each year accordingly. You cannot give from the previous year for the upcoming year.